So I started, let me move me so you can see it better. This isn't done. I need to make adjustments to number 2. I need to make number 3 slightly darker. 4 right now looks like I can probably leave 4 alone, but 3 definitely needs to be darker. 2 definitely needs to be worked on. I can see some inconsistencies I want to get rid of. Uh, you can't really see it on 5, but 5 does have value. It needs to be darker. 6 and 7 also have value. 7's super light. I don't know if the camera is going to be able to pick it up. 6, you can kind of see it. Now, visually, I have a clear break between 7 and 6 from my perspective seeing it. But with the camera and the lights, you can't really see it, but it's there. I do know 5 needs to be darker. I do know 3 needs to be darker. So I'm going to go through and adjust this. But my point is, always go a little bit lighter than you think, because you can simply make it darker. Do not try it in reverse. Don't make something darker and then have to lighten it up, because you're going to make a mess, right? Keep in mind, too, when you're drawing, have that clean paper underneath your hand so you don't get all kinds of stuff on your hand and smeared all over your paper. That's the quickest way to make something dirty. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make I'm going to do a tutorial, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. And we're going to do a gradient. And I'm going to make a bar real fast. I'm not going to make it too big because I want to give you guys some plenty of free time. Okay, so this is going to be my gradient bar, which I'm going to start off with. I'm using a soft pencil, and the reason I'm using a soft pencil is I can go faster, and you'll be able to see it a little bit easier on the camera. If I go with the regular number 2 pencil, you're going to have a hard time seeing my lighter values with the camera. So this is going to be kind of like on the darker end of a gradient, but I want to make sure that you guys can see it. And then I'm going to do a couple of checks for understanding to make sure that you remember stuff that we've already gone over as far as drawing. And that'll be your attendance check. So I'm going to start. And you remember previously what I stated is you don't go straight to dark, right? You want to build up your values. So I'm going to start with the base. And I'm going to move this down. And I'm just basically creating a base for my darker values to go on. Now, here's the other thing. When I move down, I'm going to get lighter and lighter and lighter as I move down. And each time I go down, I'm going to go down a little bit further. So when I apply my light value, I only want to go over my light values once. I'll tell you what I mean. As I move down, I'm going to constantly go back up and then come down, go back up, come down farther, go back up, come down even farther. My last marks that I make, I want to be my lightest value. I don't want to be going over my lightest value more than twice. That's fine. You missed the vocab. It's shared, and it's indicated in our classroom, which we went over. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to start building up my values. Now, here's your attendance check. Why do I keep rotating the paper? And I'll look over it in the chat in just a second, but I want you guys to think about this. Why am I constantly rotating the paper? Put it in the chat. Someone has their mic on. I can hear you breathing. Oh, Zachary, thank you. You're the first person today. You are the first person in 3 classes. So Zachary put, because I can't detach my hand from my wrist, which is correct. So the one thing I have control over is my paper. So as I need to change the angles for shading, I can just rotate it rather than try to draw at an awkward angle. I'm just going to rotate my paper. Thank you, Zach. So now that I have a good base, right, and I'm starting to make it go down, now I can go in and I can start adding my darker values. There's one thing I do want to point out to you guys really fast, because most of you guys probably won't pick up on it. Let me get this done real fast and I'll explain what I'm talking about. As I'm working on this, I have dark values, I have medium values, and I have my light values. And we've already discussed about how do we hold a pencil. So what you're going to notice is as I'm drawing dark values, then I need to do a medium value, and then I need to make a transition, then I need a light value, and then I need a really light value. You're going to notice the pencil doing this in my hand a lot as I move down. And that's because we already talked about how do we control the values while we're drawing or shading. And it's your pencil grip. It's how you hold the pencil. It's where you hold the pencil. It's how much pressure do you apply to the pencil with your fingers. And so you'll just see it kind of slowly moving. As I move my hand, I want to move it back. And I want to be able to apply those light values. And I want you guys to be conscious of it, because usually when I'm drawing or doing a demo, I really don't explain it. I'm just kind of doing it. So as I'm shading, I don't go, okay, now I need to move to the back. Now I need to be here. Now I need to be here. I just do it, right? My hand, the pencil just starts moving as I'm drawing, and I don't vocalize it. And what's funny is probably, what was it, my first 2 years of teaching, I never even talked about it or discussed it. And one day a student asked me, say, hey, Aguilar, why are you always, switching your pencil in your hand, moving your pencil in your hand? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, when you're drawing, you're constantly going up and down on the pencil. And I'm like, it's just a natural thing for me to do now. And now I try to incorporate it into my lesson plans, because it's a good way to draw. It's a good way to think about it, to notice it, to understand it while you're shading, right? So, yeah, I went like at least 2 or 3 years teaching without even noticing and not teaching it, because it was just so ingrained at that point where I don't even think about it. So again, while you're working, and you can see that smooth transition, make sure you're using a lot of the techniques we're showing you at the beginning of the quarter, where we talk about, okay, how do I get a light value? How do I get a medium value? How do I get a dark value? I very rarely go down low. I want to go about right here. And while you're doing a gradient, it's important to understand that you need to start getting used to making transitions with your hand and having control over the pencil and being able to control the values that you're putting down. And that's what's going to allow you to do some nice gradients. And it's really going to help you as we move on in the quarter and into quarter number 2. So, I'll probably retain a lot of you, maybe not in the same period, but I'll have you later on in the quarter. So I want to keep that in mind when we're doing this. Is there any questions before we leave? Any questions before we leave? Okay, so make sure you guys are getting this done. So make sure you guys are getting this done. I'm going to go through and make my adjustments if I have time. I don't know if I'll have time today. I know I'm not going to be doing the gradient. I don't have time between making the videos and getting stuff ready for tomorrow and next week. So smooth transition. Okay, take your time. Just do Friday. Today's Thursday. If you guys aren't, working on it Wednesday or Tuesday, working on it Wednesday, working on it Thursday, it adds up. Again, I can't express how much this is tedious. It's important because it's going to help you out with the rest of the class. But this is why I like to break it up over 3 or 4 days, so you guys aren't, you aren't getting tired of just working on this. So you guys can leave. Make sure you guys are getting your work turned in, please. All right. Make sure you guys are getting your stuff done. Get your credits in all your classes. You guys can leave. Have a good one.